I always read the words of the famous King Solomon because he is recorded to have been one of the wisest and the wealthiest leaders that ever lived. So one of the things he said is that plans succeed through good counsel, and without good advice, don't go to war. Plans succeed through good counsel, and without good advice, don't go to war. That's amazing. Okay, for a man that was considered to be one of the wisest that ever lived in our world, you would think, well, was he supposed to be getting advice? He was the one that was the wisest. He was the one in the position to give everybody else advice. Oh no. Getting good advice was part of the proof of his wisdom. Smart people know that 2 good heads are better than 1. 3, take the quality of decisions to a higher dimension. Okay? Nobody knows everything. Nobody sees everything the way they are. Smart people know that it is our decisions that determine our destinies. Success is not a matter of chances, it's a matter of choices. It's failures that believe that success is a matter of chance, that it's a matter of luck. Okay? Some people look at a successful person and they just wave off their success like, it's just because it's lucky. No. Did you ask the person? Because when you ask successful people, you'll be amazed when they tell you how they achieved their success, how they actually were deliberate about the achievement of their success. And you'll find out that hard work, deliberate, focused, and sustained hard work played a major part in the achievement of their success. Listen, practically speaking, successful people create their own luck. Look at the principle of persistence, for example. When I read how selling works, for example, I discovered that selling is an art and also a science. Okay? An art because you need to be sensitive to people per time. Each person is different, so you have to be innovative and creative to be sensitive to their needs. But it's also a science in the sense that this thing is mathematics. They said 80% of sales are made after the fifth call. 80% of sales are made after the fifth call. So your chances of selling are radically improved when you keep talking to the same person and you speak to the same person at least 5 times. But you see, the reality of it is that rejection is not easy. So most of us will talk to somebody once, we get rejection once, or we hear no once, then we move on to the next person. There's a science to it, okay? So successful people also, they work hard. There's a lot that they do, and then they create their own success. So here is King Solomon. He says, good advice is a major part to the achievement of success. Plans succeed, he said, through good counsel. I like that. Plans succeed through good counsel. Without good advice, he said, don't go to war. Your chances of failure are increased geometrically when you don't get insights or advice from other people. Amazing. I want to encourage you to value good advice. And we are qualifying the advice. Not every advice is good. Not every advice is good. I'll tell you, there are loads of people that have created complications in their lives because of the quality of advice available to them or the quality of advice that they got. There are people whose relationships have broken simply because of the advice of their friends. There are people that have become violent towards their spouses simply because of advice from their friends. There are some people that have told their friends about their marital situation, and the friend would say, "Oh, so what did you do?" When he said that or when she did that, so what did you do? And when the person says, "Well, what would I do? What would I do?" I just, kept quiet, and somebody says, wow. In fact, don't even consider me your friend anymore. How could you have taken it like that? I would never have done that. In fact, when my own spouse did it to me, this was what I did. And sometimes that thing that they're recommending is not good advice. It's either, oh, I neglected him or her, or I even smacked him or her, or something like that. And then they try what their friend said, and rather than solve the problem, it creates a new one. Bad advice creates problems. And a lot of us can actually share stories of bad advice that we got. I got bad advice once. Okay, I asked somebody who seemed to be achieving success in an area where I was struggling, and I said, "I see things are working for you in this area. How do you do it?" And the person said, "I'll tell you." Okay, and when the person shared the secret with me, the first question I asked was, "Is it legal? Is it legal?" The person said, "Sure, there's no problem with it." And then, in fact, told me the stories of 2 other people that had done the same thing, I said, "Fine." You know what I did? The next day, I asked the lawyer. I asked the lawyer, because, see, all of us have intuition. We have a conscience. It's an internal regulating system. You sense when you're on the right path and when you're not. And I asked the lawyer. The lawyer asked me a few questions. And then the lawyer said, "Sorry, what you're talking about, the advice you got is wrong. It's illegal." So if you're going to get advice, decide exactly what you want advice on. Sometimes we have access. We have access to smart people. We have access to successful people. And we know that somehow their influence can help us. We find ourselves in the presence of a smart person or a successful person, and we are at a loss as to what to say in their presence. Sometimes we're just simply starstruck. Okay? Now, if you meet somewhere by chance, that's understandable. Okay? Maybe in the mall or out on the street or somewhere, or at an occasion or event, that's understandable. But if you deliberately arrange to meet someone that is very wise, you need to be clear about what you want to ask them. Okay? You need to be clear about what you need advice on in your life right now, at the moment that you are meeting. So there's a need to clarify precisely what you want advice on. Does it have to do with your relationships? Does it have to do with your job? Does it have to do with your health? Okay? Does it have to do with your finances? Does it have to do with stress? Okay? Does it have to do with your academic qualifications or development or personal development? You've got to be sure exactly about what you want advice on, because that's when you'll get the best out of the person giving you advice, and the advice will be useful to you. Not every piece of advice is useful to you per time. Okay? So you want to be sure that the advice you're getting is the advice you need at a particular point in time. Very important. Now let me add this other dimension to it. Who are you getting the advice from? I think that's a real big deal. A lot of the time, the people that advise us are not competent to advise us, or the people we seek advice from are not competent in the subject area for which we're seeking advice. You want to be sure you are getting advice from someone that is already successful in the area for which you seek advice. That's important. You want advice from somebody that's done it before. Or the person is an expert in the area for which you seek advice. That means that the person has done a lot of study. The person has studied people that have been successful on that subject, has studied people that have failed on that subject. The person is familiar with the conditions or factors that contribute to success, and the person is familiar with the factors that contribute to failure. So the person is an expert, a recognized expert in that area. You can listen to such a person. Okay? Or the person is actually a role model. The person is already the kind of a person you want to become. Oh, sure. Listen to such a person. Who are you getting your advice from? It's amazing how sometimes we do not define our relationships clearly. We take advice from people because they care for us. Now, that's fine. If someone genuinely cares for you, they want to give you advice. But it's not everyone that cares for you or that has sentimental attachments to you that has the competence to advise you in every area. That's important. Okay? So one of those things that King Solomon said, for example, that's really helped me is that the person that walks with the wise will be wise, and that the companion of fools will be destroyed. Those are strong words. Many people don't take them to heart. Maybe many people are not even aware of how powerful association is. But one of the wisest men that ever lived on our planet is saying that the quality of your life can never be better than the quality of the people that are closest to you. He is saying that the quality of your thinking will not be better than the quality of the thinking of the people that surround you, because those are the people that give you advice. Okay? That's what Solomon is saying. So, it's not that you should do away with the people close to you. It's not that you should do away with your family. But you have to admit that there are specific areas where your family members are not the experts. Your childhood friends are not the experts in those areas. If you really, really desire progress, you desire good advice, you need to find the people that are very, very competent in the subject for which you seek advice. Okay, so be careful about the quality of people that you seek advice from. An interesting dimension to this, professionals, for example, that want to sell products to us or sell services to us. Okay? They want to sell something, and they're giving us reasons why we should buy their product. I found that very successful people have simple tests that they run on people that want to sell things to them. Things that would involve risking their money or risking their reputation or things like that. They ask themselves, has this person done what this person is asking me to do? A lot of the time people sell things that even they never touch, that they don't use. Okay? So they're not in the position to give advice. One other question that highly successful people ask is, does this person have as much to lose as I have to lose if this proposal goes wrong? So I'm just simply playing different scenarios for us. Be very careful about the sources of your advice. I'll tell you a story from my experience. There was a time when we were just building our organizations, just starting out, and I was hungry for advice. So I would just move from person to person. Everyone that I thought was ahead of me, I sought advice from them. And then I had a challenge. I found out somewhere along the line that the different pieces of advice I was getting began to conflict. Now that was a problem for me. I was approaching people that I have had a lot of respect for, okay? But then somewhere along the line, I would get advice here that was contrary to the advice that I got from there. So I had to sit down and think. I realized it's not every piece of advice that is good enough for me. 2, I realized that the basic standard for assessment for judging who should advise me became my vision. How far I am going and who out of my counselors was competent enough to take me to where I was going. And you know, that resolved it. That resolved it for me. Out of all the people from which I sought advice at that time, only one person had achieved what I was trying to achieve. You know what? I just shut down other sources of advice. No, I did not hate people. I did not cut off relationships, but I was just able to define the relationships. When something not so good happens to you, you know the people to run to cry. You know those that will cry with you. But at the same time, you also know when you need not sympathy or pity, but a way out, you also know where to go. So I just focused, you know, and began to seek advice from the person that had done what I was trying to do. The result, rapid progress. Listen, when you get insight from wise people, they will save you time. The insights that you get will save you time, will save you from losing money, will save you from losing your reputation. So I want to encourage today, dear viewer, you need good advice, and you need to be careful where you get the good advice from.